What's up YouTube? Today we're going to be doing a little bit of a different kind of video. We're going to be doing a tutorial building. So if you want to see how to build something natural looking, as well as kind of taking it off with your own with texture and everything, this will be the very basics of that. So if you want to get a little bit more advanced after the video, then I will be putting some other tutorials in the description that I personally learned from. So watch my video first, please, and thank you. And yeah, here we go. So first, I would like to show you this natural formation I found. As you can see, it curves around, not everything's the same, and yeah, on to stuff I built to show you my credentials. So this is a part of my hide and seek map, which those videos will be linked in the description if you're interested in stuff like that. But as you can see, not everything is the same. There's some texture in there, and for the most part it does look natural. I did go unnatural for some of it, which, you know, you got to understand how to make it natural to then branch off, and I think it looks good. This is another part of that map. I made it kind of like a ruin looking thing. And speaking of the natural, that cliff and everything, you know, it still looks good, still is terraforming. But yeah, after this it will go into a cave one I built, but in this video we're going to be sticking more with just regular terraforming. Now this cave is probably one of the favorite terraforming projects I've done. This is in a second hide and seek map that I made, which video will be coming out. Actually no, it should be out by this video. But you know, this is the only one I actually used world edit for. So like texturing stuff, that was all world edit, but everything you saw before this was full on place block by hand, no world edit. Alright, I hope y'all consider that enough credentials to do the very basics of stuff. Obviously, I'm still learning, and well, obviously, if y'all are watching this, y'all are learning too. So I hope I can at least provide a little bit more insight to what y'all know and want to do. And yeah, so just to start it off, there are two very basic rules in order to start this. First rule that I consider one of the most important is that you never place more than 7 in a row. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This should be the maximum amount for one straight line. Anything more, and in the worlds of Minecraft, that just looks extremely out of place and whatnot. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That should be the maximum amount of distance y'all should do, and I will show more on that in a little bit. And with the second rule, you never want to follow the same curve or line or whatever than the block before, or the path before and the path after. And I will expand more on that after I talk some more on the block, like how many blocks you can place. So here is just a little small thing that I've made. The most amount that this has is, I believe, right here, and that is 5, which is fine because it's still, you know, is natural looking with the rule of 7. And yeah, I think honestly what I kind of do is that I'll come over here and build another one. Is I just kind of start, and honestly I just kind of place randomly, and yeah, like I don't really have a necessary like plan or anything whenever I first go into it, other than like the basic of kind of the shape or whatever I want it to look like and whatnot. And then after that I kind of go in and kind of move some things up a little bit, like that corner. These corners are a little bit harsh and everything, and I just think that works best with me because I know if I go to plan a little bit into it, I start thinking more, I guess, geometrical when I want it to look more natural. So I just kind of randomly place and then start fixing it from there, making sure none of the sides are too long and that it's all kind of natural looking and not blocky, if that makes sense, even though we're in Minecraft, a block game. Alright guys, now on to the second rule. As you can see, I kind of already made a second layer of this, and kind of see how it, at some parts it does follow it, but other parts it kind of branches off and does its own thing. That's the best way to really start making it look a lot better and more natural than something that was built. Because if I'm gonna go ahead and do this, and if I were to completely follow it along, as you'll see me do right here. Alright, if I were to do something like that just kind of looks kind of not nearly as good and creative as the other stuff, like down here and below. So honestly, I kind of do the same as I showed y'all in the first, where I kind of just randomly place and you kind of follow the same curve and line or whatever, but not copying it block for block, if that makes sense. But obviously for the video to show y'all, I will just be kind of doing it from here, so you can see if you just make like slight changes just so it doesn't follow the same lines and stuff, it really just helps it bring out a lot more and whatnot. So that probably be like that. This, and a lot of the times you will not get it to what you look like first try, so you always want to be kind of flexible with how everything looks, because like this obviously would do this naturally, but kind of to obviously make it faster. As you can see, organization is not one of my strong suits, so I'm just gonna do this. Is that all of them? Nope. Bam, bam, that. There you go. But to me, at least, this already is looking a whole lot better than before. And then we can just keep on going up, following different lines or whatever. Obviously, you don't really want stuff floating unless that's the specific style you're going for. So, as you see, I just kind of do my own thing. And then, obviously, you can see it's very clumpy right now, not really put together, which it's completely fine. Obviously, to start off, as I did before, it will all kind of eventually come together and everything. Are there any more floating parts? Here. And then we'll just yeah. And then if I just do the same thing I did before, I'll just cut to when I'm done now. Alright, so now all of that's been fixed. Of course I missed one. Anyways, but yeah. Honestly, it took me a long time and like many tutorials to actually kind of get a better eye for it and everything. Because right now, this is already looking like really great, in my opinion at least. And yeah, that's just like the two very basic things for just continuing. It'd be the same with stone, whatever, and stuff like that. Now, I do find that doing like an inside edge or whatever is a lot easier than an outside edge. So I'm just gonna kind of split these up into two different types of thing. So as an outside edge, it would be kind of going towards on this side, which I guess would be like the start off of what I did right over there. But you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That'd be the max. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let me just, you know, kind of bring it up so it's not, or that it's a little bit different and not the same. That'll be good for now. But yeah, but in this case, we'll be going up that way instead of obviously this way. It'd be the inside edge. You could obviously take any one of these and, you know, go up with it. And you can kind of do the same if you're going to go out like this. But with this, I feel like it's a lot harder to get the angles right and everything. But my strategy is still the same for the most part. Kind of placing randomly, trying to get it looking great. With this, a little bit different. You don't have to like follow it up. You can have spots like this to where it doesn't come up as harshly, whatever. Like this, that was awful angle. That kind of follows it up. If I go here, yeah, okay, here we go. This is starting to look already a lot better than how I had it. Maybe, nah, that works. All right, and we just build up from here. So we'll just keep going up. This can kind of follow it like that. 2, 3, 4, 5. something like this. Yeah. As you can see, it's still kind of similar. I just, whenever I was learning, I don't know why I can't talk, blah. I found that this was a lot more difficult for me, at least, and everything. And then we can even go farther into just placing down some of this stuff here, just to kind of be more flattening. As you can see. And even do stuff like cliff edges and everything. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of split this up, showing y'all how both of them work. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Honestly, that was the first thing my eyes kind of drawn to. Like, even at 8 or whatever, one more, it looks extremely just unnatural. Maybe that's because I've kind of gotten the eye for it or whatever, or after a lot of it. This is a sharp corner. But yeah, see, it just kind of follows its own lines and everything. Like to me, this already looks a whole lot better than what it just was. And you just can kind of continue going up, kind of cap it off, and kind of make cliffs or whatever, which I showed in my hide and seek world. But yeah, now just to transfer it off into some basic texturing, which you will see some cliffs and everything like that. So let's hop on over to that. Alright, so we're going to start off with grass texturing first, and then we'll move on to like cliffs and stuff. So the 3 blocks that I think work the most or the 2 blocks alongside with grass that I think work the best is moss blocks and green concrete powder. And yeah, so some of the best ways is to, obviously you don't want too much of it, just like patches of it, which I kind of prefer the majority of stuff being grass, but it all depends on what type of build you're making and how you want to do it. I will say, along with the new vibrant visuals, moss is very like shiny, as you can see, compared to the grass, which honestly I'm not the biggest fan of that, but I just kind of go block by block. In my hide and seek world, I kind of made all of the edges moss and everything, and if you want the grass to kind of look like it's coming down or off, that's something that you can do as well. Again, but with the concrete powder, just obviously it falls or whatever, so you just want to do like a nice mix of it, and I will get back to you when I kind of have finished this little area, just so y'all can fully see it done and everything before like grass and everything. I've worked with it a little bit, just, I mean, for the video, it's fine, but as you can see, it is starting to look a little bit better with it textured and everything. Obviously, you're going to want to work with it, make it look nicer. This is like okay, but I think it's good enough for the video at least, just to show that there is texturing and everything. But it also looks a lot better when you bone meal and everything. But just in case you're unaware, bone meal, it will also cause the moss to grow along with it. So normally I like to personally place like the grass, bushes, or flowers just directly on it instead of bone mealing it, which I do with the grass or whatever, just to not want to cause the stuff to spread. And y'all can see me not be able to type and not be able to find the bone meal and everything, which is fun. But yeah, I just kind of go around using it kind of sparingly, and if you see it like too overgrown in an area, you can always go back and break it or whatever. But yeah, kind of even just that makes it look a lot better. It kind of looks a lot more bare if you don't have this and not as natural. But yeah, normally I would go in and also be placing stuff on this, but for the video's sake, you can kind of see this is already looking a lot better. So I'm going to go ahead and move on to the cliff. So I hope this at least helps you with basic texturing for here. Alright, so basic cliff texturing and everything isn't, honestly, I'd say it's easier than doing that or whatever, but the basic thing is kind of like mud and blackstone could be used interchangeably. Sorry for the interruption. Just to clarify, I did completely forget about deep slate in this. I would use deep slate between the blackstone or mud and the cobblestone. So in this, that doesn't show it. I apologize. And yeah, just to get back, just remember deep slate between the blackstone, mud, and cobblestone. So in your builds, just think about that. It doesn't change much, just a whole nother block in there, still the same philosophies and everything. So let's get back to the video. Again, I apologize. Same with cobblestone and gravel, and then there's going to be stone, and then you have granite at the top to kind of have a kind of like a highlight texture. If you don't want a highlight texture, then I'd stick with just these, and I wouldn't bother with the darker stuff. That's kind of more for gradient and stuff, which I will be doing gradient in here. But if you're not really looking for gradient, then I would ignore the mud and the blackstone and just be using these 4 blocks out of all of it. And then you can also kind of get stuff with the rooted dirt and coarse dirt, just like a smaller texture type thing, whatever. The biggest thing or whatever is that you should not, that, or at least this is a big thing for me, this is kind of one of my pet peeves, is this I feel like is way too close to the grass. So you always want to have at least 1 block of regular dirt in between, and obviously you can have stuff kind of floating down like that. Don't make it so harsh and rigid. I kind of just did that to show you, which that kind of looks bad with that. But yeah, I normally go in after I've set regular stuff and before I even begin to think about texturing, kind of just go in and kind of fix up the barrier between stone and dirt. So just to show y'all, I don't know why I put these so far apart and everything. And you don't have to always have it like that. You can do diagonals as well, like here. That will work, and kind of have it branching up and everything. So yeah, I'm just gonna finish making this a little less rigid, and I'll get back to over here. I have gone around, made it a little less rigid and everything, just to kind of show it, and then I kind of move the gradient over here just to put it away. But just like where the taller bits are, I'd go in and kind of make a row of blackstone. Obviously this is subject to change later, and then I do a couple of kind of branching up parts and everything, just I don't know, set it a little bit different. Don't go too high with it, because again, you need space to kind of texture up the other blocks, but you know, kind of getting in there. And then you can go in, kind of change some of this ones to mud and kind of bring it up like that. You can put one here, go back to stone for now. I just kind of move it up layer by layer and everything. And then once you kind of get your basic, you know, first layering down and everything, you're going to want to move to your next block, which would be cobblestone and gravel. Again, these are relatively the same type of block, like the same shade or whatever. So again, I just go in and use these very interchangeably and whatnot. And for these like smaller cliffs, you're going to want to start with this instead of the mud and blackstone, because in my mind it's not as like harsh of a lighting change between the different things. So that's just something I do. If you want to test out other stuff to see what looks better in your eyes, then you are of course welcome to do that. Also, if you made it to this far in the video, comment down if this stuff actually helps you, and if you want, you can tag me in the video and I will come look at y'all's worlds that y'all did this with. I would love to see what my advice has led to your builds and testing and everything. And if you don't think it looks good, I can go in and just look at it. But yeah, you still want to sprinkle some stone around, because it is just a texture, not necessarily a complete replacement. So you do want to leave room for some stone around, from what you can see. I need to really move up this wall some more. But yeah, you don't, again, kind of the same with the moss and everything. You don't want to really have too much of it to where it's overbearing. You still would like the idea of mostly stone and whatnot, which honestly this should probably be that, just to kind of show different. I can go into that. And again, there's going to be a lot of placing just to get it to how you want for your idea of whatever perfect is and everything, which I don't know why I keep double placing. But yeah, you just want to go around, kind of have all this sprinkled about. And yeah, that should be enough of that for now. However, this is a little bit flat, so yeah. And then obviously you'll want, again, mostly stone for a little bit, so actually that can be placed with that. And then up towards the top, you're going to want andesite, because it's going to be the lightest block that still kind of shows stone or whatever. So you're going to want that sprinkled in around the top. You don't want to go too low with it, just to kind of show more of the texturing on it and the lighting. I don't know why I said lightness and everything. Just sprinkled around, not much of it. You'd probably want even less of this than everything else. Why did I break that? But yeah, kind of go down with it. If you do want me to go in with more like cave stuff, then comment down below. I'd love to go and make more tutorials if that's gonna help. I am helping my friend Will. His channel will be linked below, with a cave and a mountain eventually, which I've never actually built a mountain from scratch, so that's gonna be fun to kind of experiment with and everything. But yeah, that honestly, that's probably about enough andesite. That's not andesite. Here and then there. But yeah, even with that, the texturing, which this, honestly, that's a little harsh type of thing. Maybe kind of more of a bottom layer only type of thing. But yeah, it really depends on how high it is and how far up you want to do it. And then that's pretty much it for the stone. Rooted dirt, I do kind of, again, this is like a darker dirt, so I kind of keep this toward the bottom. And rooted dirt is like a little bit kind of lighter from far away, so I kind of keep that closer to the top. But again, if you're not looking for a gradient type of build, I'd probably stick with just the coarse dirt, not really move into the rooted dirt, because that's, well, I guess it depends on the type of build, but I think the coarse dirt is a little bit nicer with the regular dirt than rooted. Whatever. And this, you'll just want to place these kind of interchangeably around with regular dirt, obviously more toward the bottom and everything. And then I'm very like sparing with the regular dirt or the rooted dirt. And you don't want too much in the same place, because in my mind that just gets very distracting. But you know, don't be afraid to experiment with all that. And yeah, and that as a cliff face is, I don't know, it looks a lot better than what it looks before. And that will be the end of the very basic texturing. You can also go in with more blocks. This is just the block palette I tend to use, so don't be afraid to experiment. And yeah, thanks for watching, and I hope this tutorial can help. And if you made it to this in the video, as well as mentioning Will earlier, he is actually doing a very similar tutorial thing, but with ponds. If you go to his survival world, his pond is really good. I don't know much about underwater stuff and everything, so if you want to be more specific in building ponds and everything, then I would go check out his video. That also will be linked below and put in the note card or whatever here whenever it's uploaded. So thanks for watching, and obviously I hope this helps, and I hope you enjoyed. Like and subscribe if you want to see more, and goodbye.